when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the Gold Soccer Show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, 4 goals, 3 points. The United States men's national team take care of business in Honduras. And you know what, Jared? 45 minutes ago, I was hating life. 45 minutes ago, I was scared. How do you feel
in 45 minutes, we went from Greg Berhalter out, this team's not going to qualify, how on earth are we going to exist, to Olay's away.
Olay's away.
4 goals scored.
So the DEFCON question came up on Twitter. After that first half, I went.
We are at DEFCON 1.
Oh, yeah.
I took us to DEFCON 1. I had to. I had no other choice. It was a disaster. They played horribly in the first half. This 5-3. What was that? What were we doing out there?
You know what it was? And this is the hallmark and going to be the legacy of Greg Berhalter. Meme formations. You know what these young guys need? To play a 4-man back line like they have their entire life growing up because they're comfortable and they're ready. I know, and here's another thing. For all the Euro snobs in the back, okay, 250 people right now, maybe I'll wait a couple more minutes to hit 300 to say this, but right now, all the Euro snobs in the back, do you know what came through tonight?
Okay.
Let me say this. All right. Sebastian Lletget, Christian Roldan.
Yes.
Miles Robinson. The MLS players who play in shit every week, those are the guys that are ready to go contribute in CONCACAF.
Look, it's going to take – this is what I don't like about that conversation. European guys versus MLS. It takes a mix. It always has. It's always taken a mix. It's never been the United States men's national team is better if we only have European players in. You're going to have to get some MLS guys. And somebody I can't – the chat is going absolutely bonkers right now. I love it. I'm happy about it. We got callers coming in. Nikki Soup and Salad is like going frantic over there. But I want to inaugurate a thing because the kid stepped up, right? We were asking, when is Ricardo Pepi going to get his chance? And I said, I don't know if he's ready to start away in a World Cup qualifier. Guess what? That dude's got no fear. He scores a goal. He sets up Brendan Aronson. He sets up Sebastian Lletget with a shot that comes off the back post for him to finish. It's Ricardo Pepi's night, and FC Dallas, who is absolutely owning Twitter with their love for Ricardo Pepi and riding the Ricardo Pepi train, they put out this video maybe 15, 20 minutes ago after his goal, and it was some kids show I've never seen before that I probably will see because Mr. Thiago will get there one day. It's a train show, and there's a guy singing a song, and let me just... That's a long one.
That's a slow build.
Here comes Pepi. I'm not going to sing. Okay. But there it is. There's the Ricardo Pepi drop that is now inaugurated on the show because he deserves it. And I don't want to jump to these conclusions like, oh, Pepi's the man forever now, because it's going to take a bunch of guys. But we learned something tonight about a couple of players who did step up. And we certainly have questions about Greg Berhalter because I don't want to swing wildly in the other direction because he didn't get it right against El Salvador. He didn't get it right against Canada. And he didn't get it right for 45 minutes in Honduras. Does the changes he made, and by the way, Honduras made their own changes. They did some things. They brought in Ramel Kyoto. They did some things in the second half that really did not benefit them and their midfield. So where's the balance, Jared? Tell me where the balance is.
You know what? It's funny, and I'm wondering. The one thing I can hang on Berhalter on the good side for this game is the midfield. I mean, the mid-game substitutions. Not waiting to the 83rd minute.
He didn't wait to the 65th minute. He did it at halftime because it was a disaster. He had no choice.
Okay, so to me, this was veteran players. Once you get rolled down on the field, once you get the Jet on the field, and you have some veteran leadership finally on this field, I credit the players for this win. And I guess you got to give Berhalter enough credit to say, hey, he made substitutions at the right time and brought the right players on. But the 5-man back line has to stop. Well, John Brooks, if he is our best center back, is lost in a 3-man back line. Completely lost.
I defended the choice of Brooks. I said you have to play him. He's your most talented center back. But after what I saw in that first half tonight, and I know it was a shift to the 4-man back line, and you're going for more athleticism with McKenzie and Robinson, leaving them on, I suppose. But did Brooks retire from international soccer and he just didn't tell anybody? Like, what happened to that
you
guy?
know what happened? Timmy Chandler. He Timmy Chandler this game.
He did Timmy Chandler the hell out of it. And I don't know.
What is about Germans in Central America?
Was he upset with the way Berhalter set them up and just was checked out? Because I can't explain it. Now, he was also kind of reckless pushing up into midfield and trying to create things and cause recoveries.
That's what in a 3-man back line, you get that false insecurity that you can step. You can think you can step because you have the coverage. But if they beat the pressure out of that, they're running at those guys. And that's what you see. I'm telling you, you can't play John Brooks in a 3-man back line. You have to play him in a 4. And we need to just abolish that altogether, because the best offense we had in this entire 3-game week was with Serginho Dest off the field from that stupid wing-back position that Greg's forcing on this. Yeah. And you actually went to a 4-3-3. It made sense. And you put guys in the right positions. Tyler Adams in the middle of the field, shocker. By putting Tyler Adams at the right back, you take your best player and play him as in your second best option and put a second best option where he could be the best.
We got lots of people waiting on the phone line, so I definitely want to get to them. But remember when I said that Berhalter should simplify, and you said, what does that mean? Yeah. That's what we saw in the second half. He simplified it. Now, look, 4-3-3 is something he's always kind of done or messed around with, but he complicated things because he overthinks. He got inside his own head, and he picked a lineup in that first half that there was no midfield. You can't play Kellen Acosta and James Sands and expect there to be anything going forward from your midfield. You leave Christian Pulisic on an island. He's trying to dribble 5 defenders. He's not getting foul calls because it's CONCACAF. He's going down, getting pushed all over the place. You don't have even George Bello, man, poor George Bello, who maybe wasn't great, but was scared as hell to play the ball forward because he had no cover, because there wasn't. I mean, McKenzie on an island is not what you want when you're facing off against Honduran wingers. I mean, the whole thing.
Bello and Sands, let's be honest. Bello and Jimmy Sands in that first half
disaster.
Were beyond they just aren't ready. They're not ready. Give them a year. Bello almost scores in the second minute and still doesn't have the confidence.
So again, overthinking it. He played James Sands as a midfielder when he had been using him as part of a 3-man back line. I'm not saying that Sands is better than John Brooks, but as you already said, Brooks doesn't work in that system. Play James Sands if you're going to play him if you're going to play a 3-man back line instead of what you set up with.
Slip.
Yeah, okay. Well, all over the field. That was definitely a problem. All right, the phone lines are buzzing. Of course, people are excited. Let's first go to Eric from Modesto. Eric, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hi. Long-time listener, first-time caller, and I'm supposed to be calling in after a win tonight. And just CONCACAF is an absolute dogfight, and the team just nothing was really going right in that first half, and then it got really sloppy, and it was lucky that Pepe was continuing to grind all game, and just happy to come out with 3 points here.
Shout out to, I've got too many calls. I can't really hold on to you, Eric, so I'm going to let you go. Shout out to Heath Pierce, who was on the Kay Galazzo podcast for CBS Sports, and said, look, shout out to him for, this is not proven yet, but obviously Ricardo Pepi stepping up tonight gives some credence to this idea that Ricardo Pepi is the best natural finisher that the United States maybe has ever had. And that first goal shows, I mean, you can't teach that. You can't,
and if we're being honest,
understanding.
If we're being honest, that was the first good service to Ricardo Pepi all night. He had a half chance earlier with a tough finish on a volley at his midriff. That was the first true good service opportunity that he had, and he put it away. And then he created another one after that as well. Ricardo Pepi is going to get some run, and he absolutely deserves it. I don't know that the experiment with some of these other strikers is over, but Pepi is the guy that's going to be written in there for quite some time right now.
I like this. That was a very Wando-esque header. Now, Wando never had the national team career that maybe he could have. Obviously,
that was a Brian McBride header.
That was a Taylor Twellman would have been on that header as well. All right, but before I go back to the phone lines, I just want to point out that my attire today, I decided to go away from the jerseys. I went with this brand new shirt. I was afraid to wear it because of the loss, or I keep saying loss, the draw to Canada, the draw to El Salvador. I was feeling down about it. Tifosi Football sent me this shirt. This is the old school logo with Pulisic, Reyna, and McKennie in the denim kit. And I was like, I put it on today thinking, okay, Weston McKennie got sent home. Giovanni Reyna is hurt. is this a jinx? Am I never going to want to wear this shirt again because they're going to lose to Honduras in Honduras? And we did not see this coming. And I'm so happy that now this shirt feels lucky and I can wear it.
The thing now that this game is over, my butt has stopped puckering for 90 minutes. I can actually breathe. It's like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Now, put the Berhalter stuff to the side for a moment. Let's just talk about everything else for a second.
Okay.
We now have a month to figure out what the flip we are doing.
Hey, we're not censored on this show. Do we have censored?
I already dropped one that I'm trying to be safe, just for the people that have kids in the car tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
We have a month to figure out everything else. We have a month for the players that are supposed to be the players that are going to lead us to the next generation to heal, Weston McKennie, to figure out what formations we can do, review the tape, like who should be the guys that are called the next roster. Guys like Matthew Hoppe, Musa, these guys could potentially be in the next round. Reggie Cannon, Shaq Moore, maybe even if you're lucky, maybe this is the kind of performance that says Julio Naranjo, maybe I want to be a part of this.
Okay, so this is what's interesting about. Okay, you know what? I'm going to save it because it's not about us. It's about people calling in. Logan from Jersey, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Feeling good,
Better
Logan.
now.
We got 3 points, 5 points from 3 games. Okay, it's not perfect, but we're okay. We're feeling good.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about Berhalter. I mean, I'm still not the biggest fan. I mean, but I wasn't a fan when he got hired. But I'm always willing to give the guy a chance. And he's disappointed me. But tonight you got to give him credit for a gutsy call at halftime. People were calling for changes. He made the changes, and they worked out. I mean, he made a couple changes later on that also helped secure the win. And I think it takes guts to make those calls. And I think even with all the pressure on him, he made those calls. It worked out. And I think it really, obviously, it was a great call. So
I hope this is the lesson, again, to simplify things for Berhalter. He played a formation he never played well. Again, if it's a 3-5-2, then it's a formation they've never played before. If it's a 3-4-3, they played it. But again, it's with guys who never played before in that system. You're tossing on 4 basically debutants, 4 new guys in World Cup qualifying with Bello, with Pepe, with Sands, and who am I? I'm missing one more very young player who was on the field tonight. You can't get cute in World Cup qualifying, Jared. You just can't do it. You and I have lived through this, right? It requires you.
You could get cute at home. You could get cute at home, I think. I think there's a few times where you could do that, but I don't think you can get cute yet. Because this team doesn't have the confidence yet. There's
no continuity. How can you possibly be cute when you don't have the same team? And you were talking about next month, and somebody just brought up Joe Scally, who we haven't even mentioned. And, who knows what Chris Richards does between now and then to maybe merit a place in this team, and who gets pushed out from the center back pool. And so how? And I'm not saying you make a bunch of changes based solely on form, because I do think a national team has to have some continuity. But if you haven't had that, if you're brand new to World Cup qualifying, you have no confidence because of the games in El Salvador and in Nashville, how can you mess around with this? And I'm exacerbated even as I'm thrilled that as he just said, as Logan just said, he made the changes necessary at halftime. He ate some shit to get them to that point.
But that's the minimum requirements to do your job.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
the minimum requirements to do your job.
We're not going to celebrate Greg Berhalter on this show tonight because he did the basics necessary
that's
to get his
the
team
perfect
ready.
Attendance award. You literally showed up to work.
I mean, yeah, I think the vibes can be good. And he clearly didn't botch the hell out of this Weston McKennie thing. Like, I know it was hard and it sucked and no one was happy with it and everybody's hard on Weston or trying to figure out how to way to get him back in. I think Berhalter's got these guys believing in him. But if he complicates the system on the field, none of that matters because they can't execute the way that we want them to. Logan, you got anything else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think there's no way am I bashing Christian Pulisic. I just think for some reason when he came out of the game, I don't know what happened. It seemed like Honduras opened right up. It seemed like they were concentrating so much on defending Christian Pulisic that everyone just kind of had their own space. And I don't know what happened, if they tired out or something. But I just think that it opened right up, and I don't understand why. I'm not complaining, obviously. But
well,
I'm happy it happened. So.
I think Pulisic, Jared, tell me what you thought of Pulisic's first half. when the rest of the team was bad, or even the second half up until his injury?
I think it was a mix between the pressure of feeling like he had to do something to make a difference on the team, has the armband, and doing too much. I think he was bouncing back and forth between those two things. What he was missing was a linking midfielder. If you look at it, and I think we talked about it in the show.
No help.
You're constantly having this huge gap between where Kellen Acosta and James Sands were being forced to play and where Pepe was trying to win a long ball. And then Pulisic's trying to dribble forward with no square ball option to let him run past the defender. It forced him to dribble into three guys too much.
So Andrew is saying that the attack with Pulisic is pass it to Pulisic. The attack without him is let's try something different, and maybe that benefits the group. I don't know that I believe that Pulisic is a detriment to the team when he's on the field, but there certainly is hey, that's our best attacking player, get in the ball. But again, in CONCACAF, he's not getting the fouls that he gets in the Premier League. He's getting sandwiched by three guys. I mean, the foul that actually sent him out of the game, or the tackle that sent him out of the game because it wasn't called a foul, I don't know. I mean, you're going to get hammered, so you have to respond.
You want him on the ball. He's Christian Pulisic, for God's sakes. What, 40-some touches in the first half or something like that? You want that guy to have the ball at his feet. But what you want around him, where we have failed consistently, is options. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have options when he has the ball. So he's being forced to dribble into double teams and try to split guys. And it's just not an effective plan of attack. Your plan of attack can't be give it to this guy. It's like what's that? Kicking and screaming. Give it to the Italians. Give it to the Italians. They'll get the ball. Is Christian
Pulisic the Italian?
He's both Italians. Yeah, he's both Italians in one. At least those two guys had someone to pass to.
Let's go to our man Ty in Lansing. Ty Shelter. What's up, Ty?
Man, what's up is I've had a hell of a day and a couple of pints, and I am all about this game. Transport back to 1-1. Everybody's gripping. Everybody's freaking out. Paul Tenorio tweets from The Athletic, Yedlin for Sands, Tyler Adams moving into a central role. I quote tweeted that, and I said, we're going to win this one 3-1, and Greg Berhalter is going to pretend he has no idea why he was trending for an hour.
and you were a goal short.
Right? We go up 3-1. I quote tweeted him like, I am a genius, and so is Ricardo Pepi. Like, this is incredible. And like, you guys, you already said it. Like, we cannot celebrate him doing the right thing from the beginning. But I think we can celebrate going into the literal murder capital of the world, giving these kids run. We were all sitting here going, when it was tied 1-1, going, we're going to find out about these kids. We're going to find out if they have the guts. We're going to find out if they can do it. They passed that test. Berhalter saw the changes he needed to make, and he made them. We can talk all day long about how they never should have gone on the field in that formation with those guys being asked to do what they were due. But in the end, they got put in the right positions. They did what they had to do. They sacked up. They got the 3 points they needed. They got out of there with the win. And I'm celebrating right now, and we're in the place we need to be.
Ty, speaking of murdering it, Ty, if you guys don't know Ty, check him out, newsletter.tyshelter.com. Great writer out there. I'm going to give him a plug. You plug your SiriusXM show all the time.
I was about to plug everything you just said. I was about to say Ty
Why
is
can't
a
I
great
do
writer.
it? Why can't I do it?
You can do it. You can do it. Give Me Shelter is the newsletter and all the stuff Ty's doing. Yes, go ahead. I stepped on it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Check out my man Ty. Ty, where can they find you, man, and all your great writing?
Absolutely. TyShelter.com, at TyShelter on Twitter. Like you said, newsletter.TyShelter.com. That's my newsletter. Gimme Shelter. Every week I talk soccer, I talk football, I talk video games, I talk music, I talk,
Final Fantasy 7.
I talk whatever it is out there. Final Fantasy 7, absolutely. Genshin Impact. I'm on the TikTok. Everything. Follow me there, and appreciate you guys always listening, always loving it.
One of the good ones, Ty.
Ty, yeah. No, I don't hold it against him that he is a Detroit Lions fan, although nobody really cares that much because the Lions have never been that good. And a Liverpool fan, I believe, is Ty. I let him go, but I believe Ty is a Liverpool fan too. And obviously, U.S. men's
Those two things went together for quite some time until recently. But
now I want to say that, there are going to be some people, and look, I don't necessarily think it's just wrong because I don't make judgments like that. You want to be angry on some level that Berhalter pulled one out of his rear end, and they came back and they scored 4 goals when we didn't expect that, and all those things. And obviously the halftime change. If you want to be mad that Berhalter saved his job because you don't think Greg Berhalter's good enough to be the U.S. men's national team manager, and that ultimately we will fail because of him, That's fine. I just don't think this is the moment. Like, this is World Cup qualifying. We didn't go to the last World Cup. If you're a fan of this team, you should be thrilled that the players responded. Whatever credit you want to give Berhalter, Jared, like you said, maybe put that to the side. Let's talk about the response from the players. Let's celebrate the new kid, the guy who scored a goal, set up 2 more, Ricardo Pepi, who may be a guy we can ride in terms of striker all the way.
Can't we just get a train whistle instead of that long drop?
Okay. It's just the song that they had. I only had a couple minutes at the end of the game. Okay. What do you want from me? What am I, some kind of genius with this stuff?
Freight train.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Wes from Idaho. Wes, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hey, just wanted to make a couple points. With basically regards to Greg Berhalter, I think he's still in the extreme hot seat because, one, that looked like an ASO team in the first half, and 2, if we still had the only 3 subs rule, I don't know if we win this game. So you've got to get the lineup right the first time, and we can't have people playing out of position. It's weird. When you put a player in a position he's comfortable playing, they play a lot better. I think it's crazy, but, I think maybe you should try it sometime. But anyway, those are my points, and I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Wes. This is the same problem I had with Jurgen Klinsmann. I mean, that's what Berhalter was guilty of, is trying to overcomplicate the international game, putting players in. Now, look, I understand on some level why Tyler was at right back to start this game, because you had burned through. Serginho Dest had to go home with an injury. You
burned through Tyler Adams.
No, of course. I mean, okay, let me just say, Tyler, we're going to celebrate Ricardo Pepi rising to the occasion. We can talk about the changes that Berhalter made at halftime.
270 minutes.
Tyler Adams is a monster. He's got a third lung, right? Like, this is like Ripley's Believe It or Not type shit for Tyler Adams. Like, I don't understand the engine on this kid. And he wouldn't play a perfect game, but he did everything necessary to keep them comfortable in his area of the field, right?
I gotta give a shout out to this one though. Andrew Vogel, I love you. This is a good one. Berhalter was playing chess. Unfortunately, it was it was a checkers tournament. That's what CONCACAF is, though. Yes. It's not a chess game. It's a checkers tournament.
I'm not even sure it's checkers. Like it's like
War. The game War. Like there's no talent.
It's like Candyland. Like you think of Candyland as a board game. It's not a board game. Kids don't understand anything. It's just cards, and then you put your pieces around. There's no strategy to it. You don't have to do anything.
Like Twister. Just a bunch angled together.
That might be that. Let's go to Stefan in LA. Stefan, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I just want to say that first off, I am happy with the results, so I want to cheery with all that, but I just want to go straight into being a pragmatist. And I think if we have to boil down, the one thing we need is some sort of central creative attacking midfielder coming through the center channel. Yeah. I believe right now our team is a bunch of defenders and wingers. That's just what it's been. And there's a big old black hole in the middle of the field.
Well, who is that guy, though?
So disjointed.
In this game,
I know, that's something needs to develop.
Well,
maybe
Stefan,
we need to switch to a 4-2-3-1. Maybe we need to transfer Pulisic in the middle and have Aronson and Conrad or Reyna on the side. Maybe
I think you want midfielders pushing from midfield positions. You don't necessarily want somebody sitting in the hole. So when you say, a 4-2-3-1, I mean, is that going to play? Okay, if that double pivot, if one of those guys has license to get forward, okay, but if you're actually playing it as a double pivot, I'm not sure that's much of an improvement. And then again, Pulisic centrally in the hole, is that where you want him bracketed by I don't want Christian Pulisic bracketed by defenders, Jared. I want him in space, right? So that's why I like him on the wing. Now, in the changes that happened in this game that made it better, when you went to the 4-3-3 with Tyler Adams shifting into the lone defensive midfield position, as you said, Sebastian Lletget. Now, Sebastian Lletget's not a perfect player, and there are games when he's been bad and games where he's gone missing and games where he wasn't effective. He made a difference in this game because he pushed, because he
got hurt. Hard. Yeah, he made a difference. Another player got to come on.
I think he's a candidate for that position, but
well, I mean, that's not going to excite a lot of people, Stefan, because he's an MLS player, right? And because he is not 100% consistent. He's not next level, right? He's not game changing. I think this is why people want Gio Reyna in that spot, Jared. But he obviously got hurt, and we didn't have it.
I mean, what we've seen over 3 games this game one was Reyna, game 2 and 3 are Pulisic. Because they have our superstar youngster just running out of team by himself, trying to find players by himself all the time. This is not going to work. There has to be a member of some sort of an 11. There has to be someone captaining him. Maybe that's Weston. You know what I mean? There's got to be someone coming up the center channel.
Weston less penetrating up the middle.
The left, the middle, and the red.
I think Weston can do it. That was not okay. I'm sorry. I let that one slide. I don't know how I let that one just go right by me. Okay.
I want to read a tweet from our boy Paul Freelands from somewhere in Asia. I'm not sure where these days. He said, Berhalter needs to drop the mad scientist shtick. Some guys who have been inked in the lineup need to be downgraded to pencil. That said, had you offered me 5 points out of this window, I'd have gladly taken it. Now to get to guys healthy and playing before Jamaica, Panama, Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good recap, to be honest with you.
Yes, I think that's a good summation of what we've been talking about. I do like this theme that we've got going here.
Greg off the hook, though.
No. I do like this theme that's happening in the chat after we said that you said that Berhalter, CONCACAF, or whoever said that Berhalter's playing chess and CONCACAF is checkers. Berhalter was playing Ocarina of Time when CONCACAF is Altered Beast. I don't know quite what that means. Like I'm trying to figure out the.
I'm guessing one is an elevated video game and Altered Beast is just button mashing.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I can see how that works. By the way, speaking of Jamaica, and I'm again thrilled that my shirt is now lucky, and I can go to Austin to see the United States play Jamaica without feeling like it's going to be a sad trip. Now with 5 points, again, it is all about the emotions and the roller coaster of this because, as Stefan or whoever we just had said, 5 points from this. We would have taken it, but we would have been moderately disappointed, right?
Destination that was acceptable, but the path we took was unfortunate, and that it lends you to not have confidence in this team. So it's enough to get Berhalter by. He's not going to get fired, guys. I'm sorry, he's not going to get fired. Unless for some reason the USSF feels like he botched something with the McKinney stuff or something like that, he's not getting fired. No, not today, not tomorrow, not until after October, and even then, it's unless they get 0 points out of 3 matches, I just don't see it. Let's go to Caboose from Idaho. We got a bunch of Idaho representing tonight. What's up, Caboose?
Hello, yeah, glad to represent Idaho. Second one. So what I was going to say is Pepe has to represent the USMNT in CONCACAF. There's no way that he doesn't do so. I feel like Pulisic is just a kind of a glamour shot in CONCACAF qualifying, and then Pepe has to play from now on, and there's no way that MLS players don't do so.
Okay, so now, here's the crazy thing. Can I just real quick say this?
Yeah.
Think about this. We're an 18-year-old who barely decided to play from us away from 2 points out of the first 3 games.
I mean, you could look at it that way.
If he hadn't decided in this window,
I mean, you don't. But there are so many variables here.
It shouldn't come down to that. Is my point. It shouldn't come down to an 18-year-old having to choose us for this window.
But I don't know that it did. Because you're talking about butterfly effects here, and I'm not into Ashton Kutcher movies, so I don't want to review what that. Because I mean, look, yes, maybe Pepe, because he scored tonight, is the key, made the difference, turned it around, all those things. But if it's not Pepe, I mean, I don't know.
Even dude, where's my car?
But the thing is, we do have him, right? Like, why worry about that? Oh, he could have chosen Mexico. He didn't choose Mexico. He chose the United States of America. I don't want to play the song again. I'm just saying I'm not going to play the song again.
Berhalter got bailed.
I could interject here.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Caboose.
Like, I do agree. Like, Pepe could be the catalyst to other country. Like, if we have dual country players that just are kind of wavering, Pepe could be the guy that chooses to play for the United States, and that leads to other players, the Mexican players, the Canadian players that want to play for the United States. They see that there is a route to go for the United States to play for the World Cup.
Yeah. Look, I will say, so there's, thanks for the call, Caboose. I'm going to let you go there. There's lots of talk about Pepe. It's got to be Pepe now. Pepe is the way. And not that Pepe shouldn't be part of this. Absolutely. Based on tonight's performance and the nose for goal that he has, we absolutely should use Ricardo Pepi. I'm going to tell you right now, though, Josh Sargent has a role to play in the rest of qualifying.
For sure.
Jordan Pefok has a role to play in the rest of qualifying.
Matthew Hoppe.
Josty Zardes has a role to play in the rest of qualifying. So, I mean, it's a matter of, and this is why this was so frustrating, this window, right? Because we talked so much about the depth and, we got guys in all these positions. Now, we knew center forward was thin. So Ricardo Pepi did bail out Berhalter, as you said, although give Berhalter credit for convincing him to play, Jared. It goes both ways, right?
Oh, he did that?
Well, Berhalter was part of the process, right? He didn't choose the U.S. men's national team regardless of Greg Berhalter's spot.
I don't know that he had dinner with his family.
You don't know they didn't, and I think you choose a country with a coach you hate, like you actively don't like, or don't think is going to play you. Like, I don't know what promises Berhalter made, but he clearly felt let the kid feel like he was going to be part of this. He got called in, and he's here, and he's scoring goals and setting things up. I mean, that's a win. I mean, that's a credit to Burrow. It doesn't save his job if they don't qualify or they don't get the points necessary in the next window. It's just a point in his favor. Let's go to Luke from Dayton. Luke, you're on the Best Soccer Show. What's up?
Hey, guys. So I think that I'm right now the two most important people in U.S. soccer are going to be Ernie Stewart and probably Brian McBride, because they've got to convince Berhalter to play an old U.S. type of game, because we don't have the time anymore. The whole experiment has to end now, because they don't even have as much time going into the World Cup because of it being in the wintertime and stuff. So I think they have to convince him that he can't play Greggy ball anymore, or he has to perhaps do his own version of a classic U.S. Way to play.
Well, this is the measure of the man, right? Did he learn a lesson tonight? Jared, you said you could maybe get cute at home. Okay, I'll agree with that on some level. If you're more comfortable, the fans are behind you, you can maybe play a little bit differently. But he should have learned a lesson tonight. Now, he should have learned it in the first two games, but apparently he didn't, because he came into this game playing this wacky three-man back line with the guys who didn't fit, no midfield presence to go forward, leaving Christian Pulisic on an island, and it did not work. I mean, did he learn something?
So, Luke, here's a question for you then. We keep it simple. We go old school. We go four-man back line, right? Is Sergiño Dest able to be a competitive World Cup qualifying right back in a four-man back line where he has to defend? Because that's what we're saying.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do think that they buy into Greg as a unknown person, so I think he could be the one to convince him to try. But I don't know if he could just naturally just do, okay, I'm fine with this.
Well,
I think it's he has to set him up well.
So here's the thing. I'm going to let you go, Luke. I had other people waiting. The tough decision, the one that Greg Berhalter has to have the balls to make, is to not start Sergiño Dest. Now, you can use Dest as an off-the-bench option. You can use him as a game-changing player. Hey, against teams where you're sure to have a lot of possession and you're not really that worried about his side being exploited on a counterattacking level, you can maybe play Sergiño Dest. But I think it's clear. Look, there's no obligation, because that guy plays at Barcelona, that you have to start him for the U.S. men's national team. He's a talented player, but if he doesn't fit your system, this is why the MLS thing is such an interesting part of this, Jared, because the reason that you go to MLS guys is because they are comfortable in the system that the United States is best playing in, right? You can mix in the European players. I want Giovanni Reina on the field. I want Christian Pulisic on the field. I want a lot of these guys on the field, but you kind of need those pieces to sprinkle in.
But I want Kellen Acosta, Sebastian Lletget, and Christian Roldan on these rosters. You need these players. I know that there are guys in fedoras right now that hate the fact that I'm saying that. But
why do you think the fedoras are the thing that separate these people? What is it about
fedoras? It's the most hipster
fedoras?
thing I can think of in the moment.
Nobody's wearing fedoras anymore, man.
I know there's guys out there in their Greg Berhalter shoes that think that these guys don't have a in this roster, that it should be all guys 22 and under playing in Europe.
I don't even want to have
guys like this.
But I don't want to even have the fight with those people.
I do.
Because we know better. And I think everybody watching us right now, everybody who's thrilled about this victory knows better that, yes, if there's a player who's in great form in Europe, you should have him available. Maybe he's on your team. Maybe he's just on the edge, depending what league he plays in, what level he's at. And I'm not saying Sergiño Dest should not be on the roster. That's not the argument I'm making.
No.
But you have to figure out how to use these. And it's been said a million times before, right? that you put the players in the best position to succeed. Sergiño Dest, as an isolated fullback against CONCACAF counterattacking teams, is not in the best position to succeed. That's just not where you put him. Now, that's just one of these issues with Berhalter. I do have this stat from Paul Kennedy from Soccer America that I want to give you. The biggest U.S. men's national team wins in the final round of World Cup qualifying. And remember that, this time around, it's only the octagonal, and years past there were early rounds and then a final round, but this is the final round. In 1997, they beat Canada 3-0 away. They beat Canada at home 3-0 that same cycle. In 2005, they beat Costa Rica 3-0 at home, and then Panama 3-0 away to Panama. In 2009, they beat Trinidad and Tobago 3-0 at home. 2021, Honduras 4-1 away is the third biggest scoreline. The two biggest scorelines, 2017, Panama at home 4-0 and Honduras at home 4-0. And what happened to that team in 2017, Jared?
Well, the best soccer show wasn't on the air, so they missed the World Cup.
They missed the World Cup, right? It's so wild that that's where we are. Now, we certainly hope that that's not an indication of something coming later down the line. But to have this game turn into that kind of route is just... bonkers.
I want to read this tweet real quick from Sean Griffin, who's listening on throwing something down on Twitter. The winner tonight is MLS Academy.
All right, true. Yeah, I mean, you could look at that. Look at it that way. Yeah, you could absolutely. Let's go to the phone lines. Tony in Dallas. Tony, I'm sure you're happy about your boy scoring some goals.
Thanks for taking my call. Jason, man, you hit a couple of my points already, so I had to kind of change them up. I had 3 takeaways from the game. First one was Yedlin, man. His service when he came on totally changed the game. That honestly won us the game, in my personal opinion. My second point would be Brooks. The past 3 games, he has been incredibly rough. I was watching the game with my brother, and he's like, he needs to get off the field, and I was a little hesitant, and just thinking back, he's been terrible, honestly. And then, obviously, me being from Dallas, FC Dallas fan, Pepe Train is real, man. He's a poacher. I feel like he's the only one in our pool that can actually score goals. So that's my points, man. I love you guys and listening forever. Y'all have a good night.
Wait, is this my boy Tony that bangs chains?
It is.
All right, stop throwing Discraft.
You guys and your little cult that you have. thanks for the call, Tony. Banging chains. That sounds like something that Weston McKennie would be into, right? Banging some chains.
Only if they're outside the hotel.
I don't know what you call chains. That's slang I'm not aware of. I'm just saying it sounds in that. By the way, no problem with Weston McKennie, doing his young man thing. Just don't do it when you have rules and you're gonna a whole thing. I feel bad for the guy. I hope he figures this out. I mean, I feel bad for him in the sense that he needs to take responsibility. And I'm glad we don't have to spend a ton of time on that story, Jared, because obviously it's happened since you and I last got together for the Canada game.
I'm sure we'll get to it a little bit at some point. But yeah, and here's the thing. One thing we haven't talked about. One thing, if it's been a ton of Pepe talk tonight, deservedly so. Pepe, I bow down to you right now. But I want to give a real quick shout out to the one of 2 players that's been good all 3 games, and we haven't even mentioned tonight, Miles Robinson. Miles Robinson is the truth. I mean,
is the truth.
This guy has to get to Europe quickly. I don't know. I hope Atlanta lets him go.
Does he though?
Okay, maybe not, because it seems like when you go to Europe for the USA, you can't play in a World Cup qualifier for some reason.
I want him to go to Europe if he wants to go to Europe, and that's the best thing for his career. But if he's playing this level right now, I want him to be comfortable.
The question
to
is
help
no
the
longer
US men's national team.
Who's the guy that plays next to Brooks, our best center back? It's the guy who plays next to Miles Robinson, our best center back.
Yes, you're right. The dynamic may have changed. And again, I think Berhalter's going to have to rotate. I mean, I'm not sure I expected Mark McKenzie to get a start tonight.
I don't know I did either. But the reason why one of the main reasons why Miles Robinson is more essential than John Brooks, and there's people that are going to go crazy because they think John Brooks is great because he plays for Wolfsburg, and he is very good. He's fantastic, actually. Miles Robinson can flow freely from a 3-back to 4-back system. There's no transition for him. He's athletically gifted enough to cover space wide, and he's athletically gifted enough to cover a guy getting in behind. John Brooks struggles in those scenarios.
Yeah, well, so John Brooks reads the game well. He just doesn't, at least in the last couple of matches for the U.S., he hasn't put the effort in to get to the spots. It's like he knows where he's supposed to be. He's just not getting there. Miles Robinson gets there. That's the difference right now between those 2 center backs. I can see how much Miles Robinson understands about where he needs to be as the play unfolds, as the sequence happens. And by the way, I love the truth. I know that somebody already has that nickname, but if we want to just go ahead and label the man the truth right now, I am 100% on board for that. We got Jedi, and a word on Jedi. And I said this on Twitter, Jared.
Fantastic.
Andy Robinson's improvement, I know he came on in this game, but his improvement over the last year is off the charts. He was also a player I was incredibly impressed with defensively, reading the game.
The only player that was able to lock down Andy Nahar in this game. The only player that was able to lock down Andy Nahar. Andy Nahar was doing circles around guys till Anthony Robinson came in.
Yeah, Andy Nahar was getting star treatment on the fouls, but he was also very, very good, and that's part of
LAFC fans are wondering where this guy was.
Adrian, well, he was hurt there, and they never let him get healthy. That's why DC is benefiting. Adrian from San Antonio, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hey, man. So I think one of the things that Greg must do is have chemistry with the players and the positions they're in, because as we know, soccer is a sport it's a team sport. And for order for it to work, they must be together as one and push forward, because all the time they're passing backwards instead of actually doing pushing precision and trying to score goals, even if it's from long range, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time to pass backwards. Let's all admit that there's a time to pass backwards. But the U.S. midfield, and I think this is the point he's getting to, is it's too differential. It's too differential to the center backs and playing backwards. They're sometimes hesitant to want to play that slotted square ball. Because they're worried about losing possession.
Well, the center. So again, there was no midfield presence tonight in the first half, and even when there were combinations happening, so Pulisic would drift out to the left-hand side, or he was lined up at the left-hand side of the three-man front line, but he's on the left-hand side. He's trying to combine with George Bello, and you could see how scared George Bello was to play the ball quickly. I'm watching the game, and this is not me necessarily bragging or anything, but I'm watching the game. I see Bello receive the ball along the sideline. Pulisic makes that half-space run, the cutting run, kind of across Bello's face, across the face of a defender. It's right there for Bello to play one touch with Pulisic, and he doesn't do it. He plays backwards because he's scared that there's not going to be help in behind him, that if he turns the ball over there, the United States is screwed. And that was a function of the system, or a function of the formation and the lack of cover, but also maybe a function of just not having a whole lot of confidence right there. I just want to see them take those risks, and I know it can be scary. And obviously the second half, a fundamentally different team.
And I'm just reading a couple of comments in here. I don't know. I haven't seen any of it myself. Can someone confirm in the chat? Did Berhalter really say that he put out in the wrong formation? I've seen a couple of quotes now saying that.
Yeah, I know he's speaking right now. I have some people that said Twelman tweeted it out. Let's go find that, because I know we're doing the show, so it's hard for us to follow. If he said that, well, then give the man credit for admitting he got it wrong. Adrian, you got anything else?
Oh, man, that's all. Just Greg needs to figure out the chemistry, because if you see Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, they all have a style of play, and tiki-taka, hard metal. So Greg needs to figure out what style of play he wants to do. If he doesn't figure it out, we're always going to lose, man. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I don't want to fight with, I don't want to argue against Adrian there, but tiki-taka and Klopp's heavy metal, that's not going to happen.
Wait, chaos isn't a style?
I mean, you can play chaos if you know how to turn chaos into order when you get the ball and go.
No, we can't do that.
So that's the other thing, right? Those goals came from being quick with your decision-making once the ball is turned over. And the only thing I've asked for, I don't care what formation you play, I don't care what you call your system, what you call your style, what you call it. I don't care what you call it. I just want the United States to play faster forward, right? And you have to have runs. You have to have people willing to
Would you say only forward?
Well, play faster at the back too, but move the ball faster. Let's just say it that way. It doesn't necessarily have to be forward pass, a chance on goal. You can open the defense up by moving the ball around, but they played so slow in both of the games previous to this one and in the first half. And
what I'm saying is that it's ironic that their slogan for this World Cup qualifying was only forward, because they didn't seem to know how to go that way for the first, I don't know, first 5 halves of play in this cycle.
Yeah. And by the way, again, It's not as though one half a good play wipes out everything we saw to this point. But this is a grind. I think it's okay to recognize that World Cup qualifying is tough and that 5 points, while not the ideal, is good enough now to feel okay about what's happening next month and what's happening in November, right?
Like Paul said when we read his tweet earlier, if you had offered me 5 points at the beginning of this week, I would have said, sure, I'll take 5 points. 5 points is the tried and true point total you would want out of this slate of games, given the home and away cycle of it.
So remember, 3 spots qualify automatically. Basically, we're shooting for 24 points. That should get you in. That's just math done by historical measure of the hex. Now the octagonal, you are now 5 points from 24, 19 points needed. And we're gonna talk about it next month when we get back together for these live shows. Obviously, between now and then, we'll talk about 7 points in October should be expected. Just saw that from the same account.
That's the expectation. 2 home games, 1 away. 7 points is the expectation. If you get more than that, awesome. I know that there's going to be some revisionist history that goes on this next month because we had 5 points out of this. It doesn't cover up the fact that Berhalter's plan has been a failure so far. His game plans, his lineups, maybe even his man management, his player management may be a failure as well if you're having issues inside the team. And more of that I'm sure will come out over the next month as well. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, he did the minimum necessary to keep his job for the next month.
Yeah, that's what
comes after that.
That's what it is. Greg is still treading water. Will from Lancaster, you're on the Best Soccer Show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I always love listening to the show. I was wanting to make a point, I guess, with your guys having a role to play. And for a while there, I was against Jared on the Sargent push, and I was always pushing back in my mind. Give him a chance. But after all this, I'm just the bad passes. I don't know if we're just putting him in the wrong position, if we're just not playing, a design that's right for him. But I just thought he looked like he was completely lost tonight, and obviously came out after the half. He just looked like he didn't know where he was.
Yeah, I find it hard to judge Josh Sargent. Part of it is
playing at a position
that was not his position, right? It is Berhalter's fault. Again, put your players in the best position to succeed. Now again, that may mean that you have to kind of go down a depth chart a bit to find the proper winger to play at this point. But he's not a winger. I know that he got moved out there by Werder Bremen, and maybe Norwich will use him there, but that's certainly not with this team.
And here's the thing. I get that you probably can't play Brendan Aronson again. The guy was already on 2 full games, and he puts a lot of work. Maybe you
had Conrad on the bench.
That's my point. That's my point right there. You didn't have to play Josh Sargent out there. You didn't have to duct tape the position together.
Yeah, that's the overthinking.
The reason to constantly push Sargent into the starting lineup if it's just not working. I don't understand. And before it was like, why is Pepe not there? Why do we keep pushing this Sargent? Just need to have him in the starting lineup when it's not working. Mm-hmm. And before I was a Sargent cruiser. Give him a chance, let him do his thing, let's see what happens. But it just hasn't seemed to work out, and it just doesn't even when he's put in his best position, it just seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Will. This comment from Blake says he did create a chance with a good header in the box in the first half. That was, I think, off a cross from maybe Pulisic, and it was, I don't know if it was a free kick or not.
It was a knockdown.
Yeah, it was a knockdown
half volley
for Pepe that Pepe couldn't get over the top of. So I'm not giving him a lot of credit for that. Yeah, it's one moment. He needs to be more dangerous. And again, in this game, he was not playing his natural position. But when he has played his natural position, he hasn't been great. I mean, this is not defend Josh Sargent. This is just a reminder that you need bodies. So unless Daryl Dike gets healthy and finds his form very quickly, or I don't know.
The striker pool currently in this, what was brought in right now, is Pepe, Pefok, Sargent. And one of those guys at minimum is not going to come next time around because you got to think Greg's going to try to get Zardes in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
and then do you bring Hoppy as an extra person that can do both winger and striker? Is
Hoppy
Josh Sargent out of this pool right now? Out of the next roster?
And you know what? That doesn't mean he won't be back in at some point. But for now, yeah, that might be true. I don't want to do this thing where we toss guys on the trash heap and say we're done with you, because we're going to need guys. But Hoppy can do both jobs. Well, he can do the winger job certainly better than Josh Sargent. He doesn't do this. He doesn't play the center forward the same way as Sargent, but he can play that position if you need him to. There's also a name that's kind of lingering in the air that no one's talking about yet. He's not 100% fit. Who knows when he will be? But where does Jordan Morris fit in at some point in the future? I mean, again, I'm just who knows?
I would have killed for Jordan Morris in this cycle. You know, a guy that instead of Sargent tonight, you could have started that has the energy. The guy is frenetic. I mean, he really puts a good work rate in, a good shift in. I think Jordan Morris has a spot in this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure. It's not a starting spot though.
No, I'm not. And I don't even know that he does have a spot because we don't know how the player pool is going to develop even between now and October. All right, let's go to James in Tucson who wants to talk about Christian Pulisic. What's up, James?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, dude? Go ahead, man.
I guess the discourse in Honduras now is going to be how Estadio Olimpico was an issue for Honduras.
They should have scheduled it somewhere else. They should have played that game in an environment that didn't have 50 Americans or something like that, right?
I don't know how they made James Sands cleats made out of ice.
I have a question because I don't know if you guys heard this in the second half. I wasn't sure if it was the American fans that were coming through, but I saw on Twitter, which is always, I don't know if you should take it at face value, but I heard that the Honduras fans were the ones that were laying in the second half when the U.S. was passing it around. So
I'll take it. I
didn't catch that.
A bit of
is that
sarcasm,
like is that like the Russian crowd rooting for Rocky? Is that what that's like? Is that what we ended up with somehow?
Oh, how the tide has turned.
I have no idea.
If he dies.
I don't know. But two things actually, really quick. One, you guys talking about the defense, the back line. I think just from these three games, I think we really miss Aaron Long. He might still be one on the depth chart for me. I don't know about you guys, but
it's hard to say that when you have
really missed the speed.
Yeah. So again, this is what's
with
wild
that kind of
about
energy.
this
You're gonna
thing.
have to see if he's the same player. That's a significant injury.
It is absolutely wild to me. Now, I don't know that all these guys are going to be at the right level so that they would demand a place or even be in consideration. But you know, again, 6 months ago, if you took a picture of this team and what's the roster going to look like come World Cup qualifying? Aaron Long is in that roster. Obviously, Jordan Morris got hurt longer ago than 6 months, but if he was healthy, Jordan Morris is probably on your roster at that point. Tim Weah obviously got hurt, so he's not here. He'd be on the roster, so you have to kick out one of these guys. I mean, maybe Ricardo Pepi isn't on this roster. I don't know. If Jossie Zardes is healthy, there's a serious question, Jared. Did you luck into discovering Ricardo Pepi because Jossie got hurt at the exact right time? That's so wild.
I mean, at halftime, people were talking about next cycle, CJ Sapong. Like, that's what we were talking about at halftime.
Yeah.
Things were dire. And credit to CJ Sapong, he's having a great season. But, like, we were ready to pull any switch possible, including the ejector seat on Greg Berhalter at halftime. And now we're talking about
one. I'm telling you, it was.
We are at DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1?
We had to be. We had to be DEFCON 1, but now we're not. Now we have downgraded. Now it's probably more of a.
Take us to DEFCON 3.
It has to be DEFCON 3 now, right? 5 points. No matter what you think of Greg, 5 points.
Straight down the middle. Mission accomplished. It just was super uncomfortable and didn't have to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't expect a team to come away. You can't expect your team to consistently come back from a goal down away in CONCACAF. That can't be something that you think your team is going to do often. We saw the numbers. The U.S. has won one other time ever after being down at halftime in World Cup qualifying.
Right. I mean, you can take that as a positive. This team has guts and fight, and they're rediscovering what it is to be an American team. I mean, you listen to the pregame show with Deuce and Charlie Davies and Gooch, and they were at halftime. They were saying, like, where is the fight? Where's the spirit? And do you not understand how important this is? And those kind of things, like, you know, wear the badge with pride stuff. Maybe they discovered that with the comeback. Maybe that's overstating the narrative. But I can lean into that just as much as you can lean into, well, you can't make a habit out of falling behind on the road in CONCACAF.
Just for our troll in there right now, do these guys watch soccer? Zardes, he's trash.
No, he's thrash, Jared. He's thrash. He's a skater.
Oh, he's thrash. Excuse me.
Thrash.
Okay, in that case, never mind.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
thrashing.
so shout out to Rogelio, because he is certainly a Mexican national team fan, and he's just hanging out in the chat. So hello, Rogelio. He said Mexico wants to win the World Cup, not just qualify. Rogelio, I hope for you. I hope for CONCACAF's sake that happens one day. I'm very doubtful that they can achieve said goal, but hey, shoot for the moon.
You just guaranteed that he will be in the chat when they do.
I love it. James, you got anything else?
Yeah, quick point on Pulisic. We were talking about lessons learned in terms of Berhalter, in terms of the players. One thing that I hope that Pulisic can take moving forward, and this isn't a criticism of him, really, more than it is, I want him to learn how to take his foot off the gas at some points during the game, or find ways to not take the amount of contact that he does in games. And it's something that creative, smaller players are going to have to deal with in some respects. But the types of injuries he's getting, in some ways, it's good because he's not getting these non-contact injuries, these ACL tears that can really derail a career. Right now, it's just inconvenient. He's out for a few weeks here, a few weeks there. But these sort of contact injuries, these muscle injuries, eventually they'll pile up, and eventually, I want to see Pulisic have a long career. I want to see him be on the national team for 3-4 World Cup cycles. And listen, I love that he's direct. I love that he's bouncing off players and trying to run through players and trying to get to goal and put the team on his back. But he needs to be on the field to do that. And I want him to learn the hard lesson that any attacking, exciting, aggressive player eventually has to learn, which is that you're not invincible, and that, now he's got a more talented team around him. He doesn't have to at all times try to beat everyone on his own and do everything on his own. So
I got a couple issues,
James. A little bit smarter.
Okay, I got a couple issues. I'm not saying that you can't ask him to maybe do a little some things different, but you don't ask, RIP. You don't ask Kobe to stop shooting, right? You just don't do that. That's who he is as a player. You live or die with Kobe taking 35 shots a game. This is the kind of thing with Christian Pulisic this is his game. He takes the ball, he goes at defenders. Now, I think it's also on Berhalter and the rest of his team to give Christian Pulisic some support, right? To help clear a path in some ways, to also give him outlets, because he is caught between three defenders, and if you get a guy 4 yards from him, he has somebody to pass to, he can go, now you're 1-2 and you're making something happen.
The clearest sign that he doesn't have support is the fact that Honduras can send 2 and 3 players to him. If they actually had threats around him to punish with passing, they wouldn't be able to send 2 or 3 guys to him.
Absolutely.
The distance between the players and Christian Pulisic is too large.
Today, it was definitely too large. James, you got again, not to kill your whole point, because I think you're right.
That's fair, guys. Yeah, you don't want to take that out of him, obviously. So it's not something I don't think you tell him. I think it's just something that he has to learn over time. And listen, I hope he stays healthy. And he's the one of the players for us. So we're going to need him moving forward. Hopefully, he's not too badly injured and he's able to be ready for October. That's all I have to say.
Hey, even Kobe passed to Robert Ory and Derek Fisher sometimes for big shots, but they were close enough to pass to.
This also, he passed to Derek Fisher, who was like, oh shit, give the ball back to Kobe, he'll make a shot. So he gives the ball back to Kobe, right? So there are a couple of different conundrums, like mysteries around the U.S. men's national team, and I mean them more specific than just, is Greg Berhalter a good coach? I'm talking about, how do you get the most out of Sergiño Dest and his ability on the ball, his ability to create things, his ability to destroy defenders? How do you get him into a game and have him be effective without being a liability? It's also the same for Christian Pulisic, and this has been true the entire time he's been part of the national team picture, and he's been around for a cycle and a half now. It's, how do you get the most out of Christian Pulisic? Because if you figure it out, it will be just immense. And you know what? Christian Pulisic might be a much better player at the World Cup than he is in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, but we have to get to the World Cup to find out. Do you know what I'm saying?
And we were denied the opportunity to see I think over these 3 games, had Gio Reyna been healthy, I think we would have got at least one game of Gio Reyna in midfield to see if he could be that player to relieve some of the pressure on Christian Pulisic.
Yes.
And we were denied that. And not having Yunus Musa in this lineup also it made Christian Pulisic be less effective than he could have been. Those players will hopefully be available next month. And then we can see what happens when there's someone around Christian Pulisic that is equally as good to getting the ball to him as he is getting to the other person as well.
And this is from Jeremiah. All these issues come back to Greg's inability to build a coherent roster. I mean, that if you don't trust Greg Berhalter to put together a roster that makes sense, then yes, that is going to be a problem, and certainly that could get him in trouble. We got 2 calls. We're going to get to them before we shut this down. It is super late. Matt, it's super early out in Hawaii. Matt's in Hawaii. What's up?
It's 7:30 over here.
Nice.
I just wanted to call. Yeah, seriously. I just wanted to call to just mention. And I apologize if this already came up because I kind of joined the show late. But is anyone talking about Mark McKenzie and how no one's freaking out about him anymore? Because if I recall, in the Nations League, everyone was worried that he was a liability, and I thought he had a solid game tonight.
He did.
He was solid. He wasn't spectacular. He had some moments where I was a little concerned, but again, he was the guy who had to cover for George Bello pushing when George Bello pushed up. He was the guy that had to cover for that, and I think he did okay.
But unlike Miles Robinson, Miles Robinson has recent history of a consistent run of games. Mark McKenzie's been a while since we got to see him. He has to kind of he's in the shadow of Miles Robinson right now, to be honest with you, to a certain extent. Tonight he got to step out of that a bit because John Brooks couldn't live up to the level of the game. So Mark McKenzie took a great opportunity to take the stage, take the limelight, and say that maybe I'm the guy that can play next to Miles Robinson in some significant games.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments. I don't have my notes up, but there were a couple of moments in that first half, the really bad part of the game, where both Miles and Mark had some poor passing decisions and gave the ball away. Now, I think Miles mostly covered for his mistakes. I think Mark did an okay job, too. So it's worth pointing out. Matt, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thanks, guys.
All right. There goes Matt in Hawaii, and we will finish this out with Wilson from Atlanta. Wilson, you're on the Best Soccer Show. What's up?
Hey guys, how's it going? So yeah, I think I heard Jenny Conrad talking before the show about how sometimes when a game dictates it, you just have to say screw it and just lob the ball forward and hope that wonderful things happen. I feel like there's always just kind of this back and forth between U.S. fans like myself who are just dying to see us progress and play beautifully, but at the same time, there's also this thing where we're in dire situations we need to just freaking win. And I thought that something actually kind of just turned on in the minds of the players in the second half, where they just said, you know what, we have some talented guys up top that we can just lob the ball to, we can get it in the box, and good things can happen. And I just want to hear your thoughts about that, about like how, you know, that I think the best thing that we honestly did tonight was just let this game be dirty, let it be ugly, and just say, screw it, let's just lob this ball forward. I don't, and you know, let these pacey guys like Aronson and Robinson get onto it. Yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, I mean, I think you can. So you should take that as part of I think you can put it in as part of a plan. I think we saw Tyler Adams attempt to open things up a bit with some direct play, some long balls up to Aronson, to Pepe, to Pulisic. He almost connected with Pulisic. Pulisic nearly had his head taken off in the first half. Did you catch that, Jared? That collision?
Yeah. I mean, he barely got out of the way in time.
When I saw that replay, I was like, he nearly died. Like, it would have been that sort of disaster. But I was
watching. I was thinking like me in high school. Pull out.
Okay, no, see, again, this is not the kind of show where you drop those little things in there.
Thank God.
Listen to you.
God,
trying to flex like you were getting it in high school. Listen to you. See how that? See, I caught that. I caught what you tried to do there.
I mean, it was senior year, but come on.
I think it has to be part of the plan, Wilson. Like, I think it has to be folded in. And you can't do it all the time because then you become one-dimensional, and then it's easy to defend because they'll just pack the box. But there were chances there for Pepe to be the target, and that's what they have. Now, again, they found wide play, Jared, and you come at angles and you play those crosses in, and Pepe goes up and wins it, and hey, now you're on your way, right? Now you found the winning goal.
The challenge to Greg Berhalter in the next months is to figure out how to get Ricardo Pepi more than one good service in 90 minutes. So that's the challenge for this entire team. It's not the defensive side. I can live with 0 to 1 goals given up a game. You can work with that. This CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, if you average half a goal a game, that's pretty good. But we're averaging until this game like half a goal scored, and that's not going to be good enough. You've got to be able to do well. And I'm going to throw this game out really quickly because the actual track record over the last 7 games tells us we can't score more than 1 goal. We have a misnomer right now that says we can score 4.5 with Ricardo Pepi. I still am going to look at the trend right now.
Well, there's still work to do, right? And the problem is that this is, again, the national team. So they will all go back to their clubs, and shout out to Wesley here who says, Leipzig might be the most unhappy after this game because Tyler played every minute of the window. So Jesse Marsh has got beef with Greg Berhalter, which is interesting because just the other day, Jesse Marsh was caught accidentally liking.
He says he doesn't understand how Twitter works.
He's got like 3 likes in the history.
He's of a certain age. He's of a certain age. I think that age is lower than mine, though. But
that was funny. I imagine that Jesse Marsh might not be happy that Tyler hasn't played every minute of the. But they're going to go back to their national teams. And now Berhalter's just going to sit and stew. I mean, he's going to watch a ton of tape. He's going to stay in touch with his guys. He's going to buy new sneakers. And hopefully what he does is understand, I have to be smarter about keeping it simpler and giving these guys an opportunity to play a game that they're comfortable with. Because, again, he is throwing a Rubik's Cube at them and saying, figure it out in the middle of a CONCACAF World Cup qualifier in Honduras. And
give the guys a walkthrough, for God's sake. But I want one last thing. I know we're trying to wrap up. Matt Turner, undisputed number 1, right?
I have no problem with that. I did not. So I was so pissed about the goal. I didn't really go back and look and try to, judge his reaction in that moment. I don't think it was his fault. I think obviously they just let Moya get free.
What's he supposed to do 6 yards out with a free shot?
Yeah. No. I
on
think,
a ball swinging across the box.
I think that the things that you worried about with Matt Turner, well, the one thing really that was the mark against him was that he wasn't good enough with the ball distribution-wise and with the ball at his feet. I'm still not 100% comfortable, but he is good enough, right? And I think he was smart in getting the ball out tonight when the pressure came. He looks a little unnerved, but he did the work. And he got hung out to dry a couple times, too.
The 2 goals that have been scored against U.S. in this World Cup qualifying cycle are almost exact replicas of each other. Being beat on the wing, square ball across the box, and someone not finishing, watching the ball, not tracking the runner. That has to be fixed right away because that happened twice in 2 games with 2 different defenders.
Yep. Wilson, appreciate the call. We're going to let you go. Okay. We are an hour and 7 minutes into this. Of course, it is 1:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Jared has still got a whole evening planned. I'm sure you're going to watch some YouTube, some chains get banged on YouTube. Is that what's going to happen?
The Joe Mess practice round is up at Smuggler's Notch, so I'm going to go out there.
What does that string of words even mean? Like, I don't understand it.
I wish you were cool enough to know.
Did you say Smuggler's Notch? How is Smuggler's not a euphemism for something?
It might be. I don't know.
Smuggler's Notch, man. That's my new favorite
notch.
Let's bring. I just want to bring him in because I want to recognize his work on Sunday and tonight and last week. Let's bring Nicky Soup and Salad onto the show. Nick, hit the button so you can be on the air real quick.
Where's his drop?
The Sausage King of Chicago.
There's his drop. He's putting on his headphones. He's all flustered by what I'm doing to him. I'm sorry. There's Nick. He didn't really want to be on the air because his basement is in that condition. Yeah. I'm sorry I hung you out to dry on that, Nick.
All right.
Okay.
No
can we get some love in the chat for Nicky Soup and Salad? What you guys don't know, if you don't call in, every caller goes through Nick. Nick's doing the work. Nick's making thumbnails. Nick's tweeting. He's managing the chat. He's doing it all, so Jason and I don't have to. And he's looking good while doing it at 1:30 in the morning.
There it is. Yeah, we all have to. He's got a 6 a.m. wake up call. My wife is probably the kid is gonna wake me up. Mr. Tiago's doing nighttime wake ups. Like, what, dude? You're 7 months old. Figure it out. Get it together. I got to put him in a better position to succeed. That's why I'm the coach. I got to get the formation correct, I guess. All right. Any other business that we need to get?
The only thing we'll say is, go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, for everybody who's still tuned in right now, I know it's late on the East Coast, but if you're watching, do us a favor, hit that like button below, hit the subscribe button, and also make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So if you do miss the show live, you can always listen to it after the fact. And, of course, you got to join the Patreon. Tell them all about the Patreon, Jason.
Okay, let me do the plugs real fast before we get out of here. So first and foremost, we're doing live shows around qualifiers, but we do a Sunday night live show even when there's no qualifier. So you can call in and talk about national team stuff, other Americans abroad, whatever's going on with players over there. A little MLS will sprinkle that in. So that's the first thing. That's why you subscribe to the YouTube channel, so you can see when we're live on the air on Sunday nights. Now, I think we're also broadcasting to Twitch these days, and I believe we're on Twitter tonight as well. So follow Jay Rodius. Follow, what's your handle, Nick, on Twitter?
At Nick Suberling.
Nick Suberling and Davis JSN for me. Yeah, we need to shorten it. It needs to be like Nicholas Supins, and that's longer. It's okay. Davis JSN for me. There is a Patreon. It helps us kick some money towards Nick for all the work he does. It also
the main thing
helps.
is, if you've been here the last couple of nights and you enjoy the community that's taking place in the chat, a good portion of those people in that community are on the Patreon, and they're the lifeblood of this. So if you like the vibe, come over to the Patreon and hang out with these guys.
This is the trick, okay? This is what you do. When the U.S. men's national team is playing and things maybe aren't going well, and Twitter is absolutely toxic, and it's gonna eat you alive, and you don't want to be part of it. You go dive into the bestie Slack, and it's like a warm cocoon. And they'll maybe be critical. It's not like they're not taking shots where necessary, but it's a community that I love being part of, because I can go there and not feel like I'm going crazy on Twitter. So that's a place for you. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. There's other stuff. There's lots of other stuff. We're going to be back to the bonus show because now qualifying has ended for a month. So there's that. There's video stuff that we're doing, access to all of that. So patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. And then obviously everybody who, every podcast in the world tells you to give us a rating and a review. So of course do that for us.
And Nicky reads them on air.
And Nick reads them on air, and we've had like a big boost in the last month or so with World Cup qualifying. So now more people know about us. If you give us a rating and a review, it helps us out. More people can find us. The community gets bigger. With these shows are even better.
And there's guys out there on YouTube that are trying to copy what we do, but we've been doing it since 2011. So stick with the originals, huh?
Are we beefing? Are we doing that?
They don't take calls, baby. They ain't got the engineering that we do.
We've taped some stuff together.
We're doing it in 2011, for God's sakes, and people in 2021 can't figure it out.
You can't see there's a couple coat hangers back here holding the whole thing together. So there it is. All right. I got to sleep. Nick's got to sleep. Jared's got to go watch some YouTube. We're going to talk to you guys Sunday night. Is that when we're back? Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. What are we doing? Oh, it's incredible! Oh, it's incredible!
Damn, dog, that's in a boat.
Danger zone! And/or hello.
We are at DEFCON 1.
And you, what have you done for me lately? Yeah? Who asked those questions? Oh, baby!
Michael freaking Arasco Fiscal.
Jay Rodius.